I'm kind of thinking ahead of the next arpeggio shapes that I'm gonna play, and I make sure I prepare basically the whole hand for the next arpeggio, instead of like play one shape and then go to the next one. So today I've got for you guys a hybrid picking exercise that will literally kick your butt. Alright, let's get into today's video. So the main point of this exercise is to work on coordination between left and right hand, but also stamina and just overall accuracy with hybrid picking. So it's a pretty long etude in B minor, or D major actually, and we're gonna use both the middle and ring finger for the hybrid picking of this, especially the first part. The second part, we're gonna talk about that later. It's kind of different. It involves a bit of a different approach, but for the first part, we basically have quintuplets pretty much. So quintuplets arpeggios. So we start with B minor, and it's gonna be pretty much the same pattern for every arpeggio. So we have a B minor 9 arpeggio, and I'm playing that, picking the 6th string, then middle finger on the 5th string, and ring finger, and then hammer on the 4th string. And it is going to be pretty much the pattern for every all the other arpeggios. So that's pick, hammer on, middle finger, ring finger, and hammer on. Step 1, you can start practicing just this pattern. You put on a metronome and at a slow tempo. It's not really about the speed at this stage. We're trying to get the technique and the coordination down, so you can use this to work on your coordination at a slow tempo. Whoa. Right? Then we go into literally the same arpeggio, just a 4th up. So E minor. And it's the same exact shape, just move to the 5th string. So once again, pick, hammer on, middle finger, ring finger, hammer on. And it's pretty much I guess 4 bars each. Since it's quintuplets, I'm gonna play that in 16 notes. It's gonna be offset a little bit, but it's basically 4 bars each. And then we go into the next chord, which is D major 7, D major 9 actually. Same pattern. The fingering is just a little bit different here because it's a major arpeggio, but it's the same arpeggio. Then we move into F sharp minor 7 with the 9th again. It's a slightly bigger stretch here because we're reaching for the minor 3rd instead of the 9th like before, but still it's very similar. And then G major 7, like the D major, just starting on G. Yeah, and then we go back to the B minor with the 9th, so from here we go into this D major 6 kinda, and it's still the same shape on the right hand. G major, I don't know, like 6/9. It's almost a scale at this point. And then back to the B minor 7. So that's the whole thing. I'll play it for you slow. Okay, a couple of mistakes, but you get the idea. It's actually difficult to play slow. A few things worth mentioning here. Again, the goal with this is to work on the coordination, but also, especially, I'd say the movements and the economy of movements, and being aware, basically, of each movement you're doing with your left hand, especially with the right hand as well, but mostly the left hand. You want to make sure you're in control of each finger, since you have, you know, these shapes that kind of, especially like this one towards the end, which is it really makes you work on the independence of each finger, since we're using, you know, 4 fingers in different spots, right? So you want to make sure you're not doing a lot of unnecessary movements with your left hand. So make sure, you know, your fingers are not going like all over the place while you play. Try to keep your hand steady in one position. If you're noticing things like, you know, and if you're noticing that, you know, you're not in control of, I'd say especially the pinky, watch out for the pinky, because it's the one that tend to go, you know, the more out of control. So try to keep it, you know, in one place. I try to have basically each finger already in place for the notes that's gonna come. That's the only way you can reach speed with these type of arpeggios, because they're very, you know, involved, and like the fingering is not that intuitive. So if you have, you know, if you have to reach with each finger for the next note, it's better to be kind of prepared and have the fingers already in place for that, for the next note, pretty much. As you can see, my hand is kind of already there. I'm trying to move as little as possible. With the right hand as well. Obviously with the right hand it's easier because you have, you know, the middle finger. You can place the middle finger on the 5th string and the ring finger on the 4th string, and, you know, have the pick on the 6th string. And it's kind of like, it's kind of already there. So I'm not moving pretty much anything. And this should be your first goal with this exercise: coordination and control of your movements. And I think this is a good way of working on this, just because these arpeggio shapes are not super easy, I think, to play, especially, you know, the ones with the bigger stretch, like or I don't know, like the F minor. Another one that is kind of tricky is this one on the 4th string. And also the other thing that you kind of have to keep in mind is to make sure every note is ringing separately. You don't want to hear that, because let's say you're playing with distortion. It just doesn't sound as good as. You know what I mean? So try to keep basically each note separated from the other. Try to avoid unnecessary ringing. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the first part. Let's take a look at the second part, which is, yeah, not that easy. Especially coming after, you know, all these arpeggios, you'll see that you're gonna be kind of tired, especially if you play up to speed. So it's also a good exercise for stamina. So anyway, it goes like this, you know, coming from the last arpeggio of the sequence, which was this B-7. And then we go into, and then I play the next part real quick for you. With the most important parts being the 5/1 cadence, because it's an etude and we gotta establish that nice pretentious classical vibe, I guess. I don't know. So the thing with this arpeggio section here, the pattern stays pretty much the same through the whole sequence, and that's gonna be ring finger for the high E string, and then pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, hammer on, and then pick. So basically, as we go up, we're kind of taking advantage of the hybrid picking to play the string below, in a way. Even if we're going down, we're kind of going, you know, down up in the arpeggio sequence, if that makes sense. Like one note down and then one note up. And then we're starting with the ring finger, just to keep the sequence consistent through the whole thing. So once again, that's ring finger, hammer on, pick, middle, pick, middle, pick, hammer on, and then pick. And then from here, I do pick, pick, hammer on, middle, and ring finger. So again, the point here is try to have one articulation basically for each string. So I'm trying to move the right hand as little as possible. So the pick's gonna stay here, and then maybe I'm gonna do, you know, another down for the next string, but then I'm gonna take advantage of the hammer on, and then the other strings are gonna be just hybrid picked with middle ring finger. So each string kind of has its own finger already prepared. That allows you to basically have that smooth sound that, you know, you get with hybrid picking. And then from here, we are into the next arpeggio shape, which is the same thing. Same pattern, just moving the whole thing diatonically down. Same pattern as before. We move down again. And then we get into a diminished run, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, as you can see, same exact fingering and right hand pattern for each arpeggio of this sequence. If you need to rewind, just go back, make sure you get the pattern right with the right hand, because it stays the same. And actually I keep this right hand pattern for like 80% of the hybrid picking licks that I play, just because it makes it very easy to play these sorts of arpeggios and these runs, things like that. So it's a pattern worth mastering, just because it's very versatile. You can take anything that you see in this exercise and apply it in like 100 more different licks or phrases or arpeggios, whatever. You're gonna have a solid hybrid picking vocabulary, I guess, since a lot of people are interested in that. So we do the whole sequence, which is just diatonically going down, following the scale, and then here we do this kind of diminished line. So we start half diminished, and then we go fully diminished. And again, it's the same pattern for the right hand. So it's pick, hammer on, middle finger, ring finger, and actually it's the same as the previous, the first part of the etude. So this is pretty straightforward, just diminished arpeggios. I'd say the important thing to keep in mind with this second part of the exercise is when you switch from one chord to the other, in a way. So the thing that you have to work on is the connection between one chord to the next. So this connecting part at the end. I'm kind of thinking ahead of the next arpeggio shapes that I'm gonna play, and I make sure I prepare basically the whole hand for the next arpeggio, instead of like play one shape and then go to the next one. So it's not like this. They should feel connected. So try to practice specifically the ending part of the arpeggio, the part that connects to the next one. So make sure you have the fingering right, because the stretches are quite big actually, especially this one. So as you can see, I'm kind of moving my hand ahead for the next arpeggio, so it's not like so it doesn't sound like instead in theory you should be able to even play the notes together. Yeah, that's tricky. I hope that makes sense. Kind of difficult to explain. Again, it's just thinking ahead of the next arpeggio and make sure you can play like it was part of the first arpeggio in some way. So my hand is kind of already moving to the next arpeggio when I'm finishing the previous one. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway guys, that's pretty much it for the whole exercise. I know it's very long and it's very technical, but if you look into something that's gonna really kick your ass, this is the right exercise. Again, don't chase speed too much with this one. It's more about technique and coordination. It's cool if you practice this even super slow. It's still a great exercise. And then obviously, you know, after you're comfortable with that, you can try to do the race with the metronome and try to play this at higher speeds. And it's very tricky. I've been trying to practice this for the past couple of days, but it's very tricky. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.